Appreciate you. First and foremost, I want to appreciate everyone for joining this webinar today, right? I consider it a great privilege every time I have opportunity to share with people what I know, because it is what you share that's what multiplies. Now, I want you to trust me with the next 2 hours to just show you few things that I have to share with us. We have mix of uh, people today. So we're going to be talking to people that are currently students and those that are also joining us afresh. And many of you, you have not met me before, right? And I'm going to be introducing myself in the next few minutes. And if you have met me before, thank you for joining again. I believe I have so much to share and also to mentor people, information to share to mentor people into the cybersecurity. But I cannot put everything together into 1 hour, 2 hours training, even if I have to be doing that every day of the month. But I try to put things together like a webinar to break down certain things that I consider important for you to know. And also, it won't be for you like you're drinking from the fire hose, right? For those that are already students, you have access to the self-paced learning platform, and that platform is going to be growing with more information. And the goal is just for you to get more information that you need to function in the role of cybersecurity. And also for those that are not yet a student, I trust you consider that at the end of this webinar to sign up for the training. Now, again, I believe everyone signed in with their email already to join this webinar. And the reason for that is for me to be able to share the recording of this webinar with you, and you can also share the same thing to your students or your friends or your colleagues that you feel this information will help at the end of the day. So there are so much that I would love to share again, but today we want to consider 5 GRC projects that you can actually highlight on your resume. Of course, we have more than 5 projects that we can actually talk about, but I just want to talk about 5 of them, right? That you need to highlight on your resume to make your resume gain visibility. Many people, you've gone through training. Some people, they are considering transitioning, but they don't even know where to get the information from. We can start with this. Now, one thing about cybersecurity job or careers is that it is not something that you just put bullet point together. Most of the time, the recruiter, they want to see what you have done, what tools did you use, how did you achieve the result, and what's the results of what you did to the company. How did that actually transition to the company that you work for? So it is better for you to display, to express some of your skill sets through the project that you've done, right? And maybe later we'll talk about your resume and also portfolio, right? Resume is just the summary of your experience, who you are, what you've done, but the portfolio is the detailed project that you have gone through, that you've done. What tools did you use? How did you achieve results? What's the evidence? That will be more voluminous than what you have on your resume. As a matter of fact, the next webinar will be based on how to craft your resume and your portfolio, how to develop a portfolio. But today, we don't want to be distracted any further. 5 major projects that you can highlight on your resume that will make your resume employer magnet. All right. So, but again, for those of us, we have mix of people joining us today. We have people that have never met me before. We have people that have met me before, that probably you've been my student and we've been interacting previously. But for the sake of people that haven't met me before, let me introduce myself to you. I am Oluka Oshilaja, or Kayode Oshilaja. I'm a cybersecurity subject matter expert, and my experience transition every aspect of cybersecurity. And when we talk about every aspect of cybersecurity, cybersecurity could be perceived from three major perspectives, or we can even further divide it into two. But talking about the three aspects of cybersecurity, we have the cloud security, we have the operation side of cybersecurity, and then we also have the compliance side of cybersecurity. So, over the period of more than 20 years, I've been in the field of IT and cybersecurity. In the last 10 years, I've been mentoring people into the field of cybersecurity as both a trainer and a mentor. And the fact that I train people does not mean that I don't have my 9 to 5 day job. So I've been privileged to work for different organizations previously. I had the privilege of working for NASA. That is whatever that name is. I don't want to mess the full meaning of NASA, but I believe everyone knows what they do. So as a cybersecurity professional with them, I also work for federal government, another federal government project on the Social Security Administration. When I was with Social Security Administration, I helped them migrate about six on-prem systems into cloud, right? And that gave me a lot of it was actually an 18-month project, but I finished it 6 months earlier, and we were able to also manage that project for another 6 months. And also I've had the privilege of working for Microsoft as well as a senior consultant, and on that project I interface with so many other client, federal government, corporate organization. I work for FDIC as well before. I've worked for so many. I can go on and on talking about what I have done, right? But nothing actually gives me joy. As a matter of fact, what I've done, where I've worked, it's not even the fulfillment that I have. The fulfillment that I have is that everything that I've learned as a cybersecurity specialist or professional in all of this project or any of this project, putting it together and training people, mentoring people, teaching them what they need to do and how they actually need to be a cybersecurity professional just like me. And mentoring and training people is the most important and one of those things that have actually given me joy. The joy is simply because most of my students that have gone through this mentoring training, they have actually achieved results as a result of what I taught them and what I mentored them into. And unlike any other trainer that we have out there, most of my students have had the privilege of working on the same project with my student. Imagine what that means. You taught somebody how to be a cybersecurity professional, and now in your own company, opportunity shows up and you share the information with them, and then guess what, they got hired into the same thing and both of you are now working together as colleagues. These are one of those things that have given me fulfillment and joy and the energy to continue to do mentoring and training people. And I have strong passion, teaching people because I know the result is real. Okay, so if you're just joining me again, my name is Oluka Oshilaja. Now, let me give you example of few of those people that have gone through this mentoring training that have actually seen results. Time will not permit me to go through all of them. I even lost count of them. But for example, Amaka had no background in IT. She had absolutely nothing to do with IT before she came to this mentoring program. And when she came with this mentoring program with a determination for a change, and because that is what is important for you to transition into the field of cybersecurity, it's not about the great mentor and the money that you have to pay for the training, but also your commitment to achieve results. So she came after the mentoring session. We worked together, and she became a cybersecurity professional. And now in her role, she had become a director of compliance in her place of work. Also, we have Babalola. Babalola also, he was actually a project manager on something that has nothing to do with cybersecurity. I guess at that time it was earning good, it was getting paid very well, but he felt he needed to learn about cybersecurity. So he attended the webinar just like you. And at the end of the webinar, he signed up and he went through the mentoring session and he transitioned into the field of cybersecurity. I went for a conference that should be about 2 years ago, organized by a Nigerian community in Atlanta, and I had the privilege of meeting one of my mentee, Babalola, as one of the board of governors for that particular organization. Is very, very, inspiring, and we keep it going. And also, let me go on. Lala too she was actually a registered nurse. That is what a majority of people want to become. But I will tell you now, I guess during the phase, our own family phase at that time, that work was draining her. So she felt like, okay, let me try cybersecurity. So she came and she did the job, and a registered nurse who had a lucrative job, right, and became a cybersecurity professional. Ayodele too, this is one of my mentee that we worked together on the same project previously, right before I left that project. He was a fast track engineer earning less than $40 an hour. He came for the mentoring session and he became a cybersecurity professional. I mean, I can go on and on, but time will not permit me to do that. Like I said, the motivation that I have to go into training and mentoring, was birthed as a result of my own passion, right? I came into United States as an immigrant, just like anybody else, with a desire for a greener pasture. And considering what I had before I came, I felt like I'm not going to settle for less. It is this cybersecurity, it is this IT that I will continue to do, because that's what I was doing in Nigeria and also in United Kingdom before I came to United States. So I had this strong passion. I'm coming in to take the bull by the horn. But guess what? Days roll into weeks, weeks rolls into months. The job was not forthcoming. So, and I needed to support my family. Guess what I did? I had to pick up any job, the job that was available at that time, and that was correctional officer. So I work as a correctional officer with Eastern Unit, Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Segregation Department. That's where I worked, and I picked up the night shift on this job because it's not the job that I ultimately wanted to grow into. So, but I felt this is what I needed to do for now to make ends meet. Maybe that's the same thing for you as well. The job that you are doing is not actually what you want. You want to do cybersecurity. Whatever you can do now to make life, to keep life rolling for you, you can go ahead and do that. So I pick up night shift. So I was a correctional officer by night and a job seeker by day so that I free up my day to search for the job and do the necessary training, to transition into the field of cybersecurity. So while I was with TDCJ, I felt, you know what? Guess what? I think oil rig thing is giving people a lot of money. So I quit correctional officer. I went to to oil rig in Odessa, Texas. I was hired by Aliburton, getting paid $15 an hour, right? And but this time I had no control over when I could work. Morning, afternoon, night, inclement weather, you work in that particular job. And of course, if you can work 22 hours a day out of 24 hours, even 24 hours, that job offer you that opportunity. So, of course, I was making a lot of money, like almost times four of what I was earning as a cyber with correctional officer. But guess what? It did not give me the fulfillment that I wanted, right? It didn't give me the flexibility that I needed to do what I would have loved to do, which is cybersecurity. So because it was eating up my time, although it was giving me money, guess what I did? I quit. I went back to my 30 days make one pay cybersecurity, I mean, correctional officer to continue my night shift so that I've continue to focus on what was important to me at that time. So guess what? In the process of time, I picked up some certification. I picked up another job, IT field technician with Compocom. But the job didn't still give me the financial freedom that I needed. So in order for me to meet my financial obligation, I had to subscribe to driving Uber as well. So when I finish my field work, I will turn on my Uber app and do some hours and gather, just to help myself. So when I heard about cybersecurity, someone introduced a mentor to me, and that person taught me, and within 12 weeks, right, that I did the training, I got my first cybersecurity role as a subject matter expert in that field. I was so happy. Of course, I felt like nobody should go through what I went through to get to where I was at that time or where I am right now. If you know me, you should, and you want to transition into this field of cybersecurity, you have the passion to transition, you want to do the work. That's all you need. That's the most important currency that you can spend, right? And that is how I began to mentor and train people into the field of cybersecurity. Now, talking about everything that we've talked about, now we are here to learn about 5 GRC projects that you can put on your resume. Now, maybe you are new to cybersecurity. When we talk about cybersecurity, cybersecurity is very broad, right? I did mention previously that we can categorize it into uh, cloud security, into operation side of cybersecurity, into compliance. And altogether, we can still further divide it into technical and non-technical. I think that is even more safer for us to understand cybersecurity, technical or non-technical. The technical side of cybersecurity, those are people that perform their cybersecurity job, but they need to have experience of coding or programming or Linux or doing all of those things, right? They have to know all of those things to perform their duty. And I understand that not everybody really love technical stuff like that. Okay. Then we have the GRC, the non-technical side of cybersecurity, that will not require any coding skills. It doesn't require any programming skills. It doesn't require any of those stuff. This non-technical side of cybersecurity is what I call GRC. What does GRC mean? GRC means governance, risk, and compliance. Okay? That is what GRC stands for. Now, before we actually proceed, let me ask this question. Can you think of one company or one application that has nothing to do with data? It's not processing data, it's not storing data, it's not transmitting data. Is there anyone that you know of, or any company that you know in this whole wide world that has nothing to do with data? If you can find any one of those, I want to know. Okay, somebody sent a response in the chat room. He said none. Okay, and I'm going to stick with that. He said none. There is no organization here on earth that's not having anything to do with data. So that's to let us know that we are living in a data driven world, right? Talk about even your wristwatch. This smart wristwatch is collecting data, is processing data. When you talk about your security camera, it's capturing data. So every organization, the fuel that they run on is the data. So ability for every organization to protect this data is important to them, because it's going to cost organization huge amount of money, even if it will not shut them down, if they are not able to protect or manage the data that is entrusted to their care. And that is where GRC comes in. If you can think about any organization that is running on data, those organizations needs the skill set of a GRC specialist. Okay? So every organization on earth need a professional, someone that have the GRC skill set. So for you to position yourself for opportunity in this world, especially in this cybersecurity world, picking up GRC skills is important for you. Is very, very important. Even I talked about the non-technical roles. I mean, the technical roles, all these technical roles, they still depend on the GRC specialists for them to even know how to do what they want to do. And we can talk about that later. So GRC stands for governance, risk, and compliance. And that is a non-technical side of cybersecurity. And I did mention to you that every organization, they run on information. So what that means is that every of these organization, they they have an oversight. They have to align with some security frameworks for them to be able to perform their duty very well. Let me give an example. Maybe you drive through McDonald's, right, to purchase whatever you want to purchase. Maybe $5, maybe $20 you spend, and you swipe your card and you drove off. Now, just that simple act of transaction You have shared a large amount of your information with McDonald. They've captured your bank details, your bank information, your card information that is linked to your social security, that is linked to your bank, that is linked to your home address, that is linked to to your social security number. It's linked to everywhere we go to, and you swipe those cards, you are sharing access to this. That's why majority of us, if you have credit card, right, you probably gone through some security breaches whereby somebody, you know, gain access to your credit card information and begin to shop on your behalf, all because of the failure of GRC process. Now, GRC, I already mentioned to us, it is in high demand in every organization. It is not a waste of your time picking up the GRC skills. You will still get to that at one point or the other. I guarantee you that. During the mass layoff, it is still ongoing. In the company that I currently work at, some technical guys, they were laid off work. Some of them, they had to come to me and say, show me, give me an idea what this GRC is all about. And I mentor them into the field of cybersecurity. Now, that's it about GRC. But now we want to talk about what are those projects, right, that align with GRC skill set, that when you're done with your cybersecurity, right? That when you're done with your cybersecurity training, right, you can highlight those projects on your resume, and you can also communicate that. And when you submit those resume, it will be your one step towards getting a job. The first project I want to talk about is called um, risk assessment and security assessment. Risk assessment or security assessment. Now, everything that we do is all about risk, but our ability to manage those risks is important. It is also important for us to measure our risk, to analyze that risk, to assess that risk, and also to ultimately manage the risk. This is very important. The same thing for every organization. The same thing for all the IT system. So, assessing the risk, managing the risk, analyzing the risk is the backbone of continuity here, right? Take, for example, someone wants to set up a restaurant, okay? And remember that what we talking about when we think about risk assessment is that what are the things that could go wrong, right? You want to set up, let's say, a restaurant. The first thing you want to do is that, okay, where do you want to set up this restaurant, right? And what are the benefits to your business? What are the risks involved? What's the worst case scenario, right? These are things that goes into your thought or going through your thought, and what could even go wrong, setting up this business. That is risk assessment and risk analysis. And ability to perform this assessment, this risk assessment, we conduct risk assessment and security assessment using different tools. And one of those tools and framework that we use NIST Special Publication 800-30, 37, 53, 53A, 53B, all those 800 series. These are frameworks that is used to conduct risk assessment and security assessment. Or you can think of an hospital data system. You Let's say you are hired as a security professional on that project. Your goal is to analyze the risk of this hospital data system to the patient record. You identify those threats that they are going to be facing. What are the vulnerabilities that this system has? How do you prioritize that? What if there is a breach of this system? What will happen to patient record? Now, how do we prevent the worst from happening? All these and more are things, right, that you need to think about as a security professional on that particular project. Okay, so you build a risk register and also you propose the mitigation of those strategies. Okay, so on your resume, you can have something like you have conducted enterprise wide. I'm talking about when you pick up that project, right? How do you analyze or talk about what you have done on the resume? You can use the verbiage like, oh, you've conducted enterprise wide risk assessment that align with NIST Special Publication 800-30, or you can mention those tools and framework that you use doing that, even some tools. And then what's the result? The result is that having done that, it's led to about 65%, or you move the organization from the previously 35% compliance to almost 80% compliance within, let's say, 6 months, right? Okay, that is how you are going to showcase those skill sets on your resume. Or you can also say that you develop a, and presented the risk register with prioritized mitigation plan, and in such a way that when the organization follow your system, it's gained the visibility of the C-suite, and then the maybe the result of what it did led to more clientele for your company, right? So specify all these things. When you pick up the skills, you specify what that means on your resume. When you have your resume aligned in this order and with this amount of details, the recruiter or the hiring manager will look at your resume again. They are not going to look and pass. Now, that's the first project. The second project I want to talk about is compliance framework implementation. This is also building on the security framework of uh, uh, as it relates to cybersecurity. Like I said, we live in a data-driven world. Every organization, they are guided by one security framework or the other. For example, the regulation that guides the patient data is HIPAA. The regulation and the framework that guides any organization that is storing or processing um, payments, or that have direct contact with organization with people that with their credit card and bank information, they have to align with what we call PCI DSS, right? All these are different security compliance framework that you, when you learn them, when you pick up those skill sets, it's going to help you, to market yourself in a way that is more presentable to organization. You can even talk about FedRAMP, right? FedRAMP is another security framework that is used, all these applications that we are dealing with, right? They are built in the cloud. So many of them, they are based on the cloud. We have a lot of infrastructures that are stored in the cloud, and this thing, despite the fact that they are in the cloud, they are not in the on-prem location. They still need to be managed appropriately. So when you understand this skill set, it's going to help you to shine your skill set. Now think about an e-commerce company, right? The e-commerce company like Amazon, Alibaba, eBay, and what have you, they collect credit card, they collect your information, your home address, so many things about you, right? They have to be compliant not just only with PCI DSS, they have to be compliant with what we call ISO 27001, especially if they are operating on, of course, they are all operating on a global platform. They have to be compliant with GDPR and all those good stuff, right? So picking up this skill set, right, and highlighting it on your resume will give you a very huge opportunity. Take, for example, you can say that in your role as a security professional on your current project, that you implemented PCI DSS control across the cloud infrastructure to ensure that the organization is compliant, and as a result of that, it led to, you specify exactly how what you did, you know is reflecting on the outcome for the organization. Okay, so those are the things, and you can also talk about your map, your the ISO 27001 Annex A control to organization policies, right? Most of these organizations, they even need people to help them develop some of these policies, right, and procedures for different tasks that they are faced with. All right, so that's the second project we want to talk about. The third project is ATO, authorization to operate and continuous monitoring. This is also a very, very lucrative um, project, right? Very important project that everyone, anyone, if you want to actually invest into the cybersecurity career, you want to have a future proof career in cybersecurity, you need to know about ATO. ATO is the one that give you the full information about risk management framework. And by the way, the fifth one I'm going to talk about, I need you to pay attention to that. It's very, very important. That one is one of the things that I believe if you merge it with other ones, you are set already. Okay. And then also for everyone attending this webinar, there will be a gift for everyone. All right. It's going to be at the end uh, of the webinar. Maybe you get your gift in the email, right? If you already have your email already, and if you want to send in your email as well, you can send it into the chat room. So let's go back to project number, I think that's project number 3, right? Okay, ATO. ATO is talking about an official map, a stamp that this particular system is guaranteed to do what it's set up to do. Now, what does that mean in English? For example, if you want to develop an application, and this application, think about what it could do. Maybe it's going to be collecting people's information, and this information, what kind of information do you want to be collecting? Would they include uh, the PII, personally identifiable information, people's address, and things like that? Or what kind of information would that be doing, right? Once you are able to set that tone already, that you're developing an application and these are the kind of data that this application will be processing, what are the things that you do? Categorize. Can one of the students here, all right, just interrupt me? Remember the 7 step of risk management framework. What's the mnemonic that we use? If you remember that mnemonic, you can unmute yourself and let me hear you. And I can pick it up from here. Maybe I can count down, right? The mnemonic that we use for the 7 step of risk management framework, which is 80. All right, Bracken. All right, go for it.
Let me try. So it's Paul can sing in an awesome manner.
That's very correct. Paul or Peter, whichever one, right? so So the ATO could be defined as 7 steps, and the mnemonic is Peter can sing in an awesome manner. If you write that word down, the first letter of each word stands for the 7 steps of ATO, right? So ATO and continuous monitoring is one of those projects that you need to understand, and the framework, right, that we use, that you need to know, right, to be able to showcase this skill set. We're talking about NIST Special Publication 800-37 revision 2. We have 53, we have 137, we have um, so many other frameworks, right? And also, you need to understand other security framework documentation for you to that you have worked on, that you need to know, like system security plan, plan of action and milestone, and so many other documents. So this is a very huge project. I will tell you, for the fact I gain access into cybersecurity by understanding this, and my mentoring training is focused hugely on this ATO and continuous monitoring, right? Now, have talked to you about the federal government that want to migrate from the cloud, from the on-prem to the cloud. What I actually mean on-prem to the cloud? Not every organization, you have a server room, right? In your server room, you have different servers there, and they are being managed, and these servers is the one that is serving right, your organization, and every system within your organization, they are passing through this server. So, which means your server room is a critical asset for every organization. If anything is wrong with your server room, everything is wrong with the organization, right? So that server room is a system, it's like a data center. Now, some people, they believe that what they are spending on the data center in keeping their server room operational is expensive. What do? They actually turn to cloud service provider like Amazon, Microsoft Azure, to help them manage their data center. So they do what we call the lease. So these people, they are cloud-based, they are cloud service provider. So which means every organization, they migrated their physical data center, they converted it to something else, and then they said our data center is now hosted with this, maybe Microsoft Azure. All right. So they don't have physical data center anymore. Their data center is now in the cloud. Now that is migrating from the physical, from the on-prem to the cloud. Okay. Now, the fact that it is not in your uh, environment does not mean that you don't have responsibility over the virtual data center that you purchased from this cloud service provider, right? So that is one of the projects. So the skill set of GRC is not limited to only the servers that you see physically, right? But it also includes the ability to transition that skill set into the cloud. So, which means, and the cloud is the future of everything right now. Everything that we have, everything that we are doing right now, it's cloud based. If you have any application on your phone, those applications, they are hosted in the cloud environment. And also, every one of us also, will be caught up in the cloud one day. So Cloud is the future of everything. Everything gravitates towards cloud. And the our mentoring section actually focus more also on that, and it's still growing, right? That is important. So very important project is ATO project and continuous monitoring, right? And there are so many documentation that you will be exposed to while working on this. So SSP, System Security Plan, Security Assessment Report, Plan of Action and Milestone, Risk Assessment, different policy, developing policy, managing those policies, and things like that. These are different things that you'll be exposed to, on that project. Okay. The fourth project. Okay, no, before we actually go, I did mention about your resume verbiage, right? Your resume verbiage should also include what you did and specify what you did, what tools did you use, how did that uh, task that you perform transition to result in your organization, and as a result of that result does it increase the clientele patronage for your organization. So you have a very important project. Again, we are talking about all of these things just to break down some major projects that you need to highlight on your resume, right? That's important. Now, the fourth project is also very important, is vendor risk management. Now, think about it. There is no organization that you can think about right now, no matter how small or how big that organization is or that company is, they do not exist all by themselves. Okay? They do not exist all by themselves. They are in partnership, they collaborate with other companies that they call them partners or they call them vendors that is performing certain function with them or for them. Okay? And because let's say company A hire company B to help company A manage their onboarding process. So there will always be a reason. There is no way you can even do that. You have to share your company data with the company or with the vendor or the partner that you are bringing on board. They are going to have access to your employees, what salary they are, probably their information as well. So what will happen if the company that you're hiring, that company has a tie to your competitor and they can be sharing those information with your competitor? Would that be in favor of your company? Is that a yes or no? Would that be in favor of your company? Of course, it's not going to favor your company. Or what if the company that you are bringing on as a vendor or as your partner to help you do one or two things that have access to some of your information, some of your infrastructure? Now, what if they have a tie to a another company that has a serious reputational issue? Right, I don't want to mention company right now, I mean countries right now. Maybe they have a tie to a particular country that is notorious. So how do you do that? So before you hire any vendor or any partner, you want to conduct assessment on them. You want to know who they are, what they do, right? What's the reports? Do they have any assessment done on them? Okay, do they have any reputation, right? What are they into? Who have been their previous clients? What was the relationship with them? And it's not something that you do once and for all. You have to continue to do it, and that's where the continual vendor risk management is also important, right? So ensuring that your partners will not put you into serious trouble, that is the vendor risk assessment. All right. And it's important. How many people are you using? Right. let's say even as small as this organization, my proven academy is, right, we we partner with other organizations too that help us with different administrative work, right? They help with the with the PowerPoint presentation, with running ads and all of those things, managing the learning management system and all of those good stuff. Now we have to do a lot of research on them, right? We fired one, we hire one. If you consider what you maybe if you find out something that is not going to benefit you in the long run, you fire them, you hire another one as a result of conducting vendor risk assessment. So this is a very, very great project that is required, that you need to also pick up as a GRC specialist, right? To gain access to opportunity that await you in the cybersecurity field. I also talked about a bank that is evaluating a new cloud vendor. Okay, you send them questionnaire, right? That's how you do that. You send them questionnaire. You already made up a questionnaire for them. You ask them, and then you also review their SOC 2 report, because every organization, they are expected to be SOC 2 compliant, right? So you're going to be reviewing their SOC 2 report, and then you also score them, right? There's a platform, a reputational site that publish every organization, right? And also review their their risk, right? You need to do all your due diligence, right? Doing that. So that's part of the project. So when you have it on your resume, you can have something like you perform vendor risk assessment for over 30 vendors, or you've implemented third-party risk scoring framework aligned with this. Let me even say this. In my own experience, one of the projects that I handle that align with vendor risk as management happens to be I was the I was conducting a vendor risk assessment using about three different tools on every organization that is tied to my global. The company I work for is a global company, right? And at that time, when we looked at our own rating as a company, because my company also, I'm talking of the company I work for, 9 to 5. We provide, we're like a vendor to other organization. So in order for them to be sure that they can do business with us, now they have to go to this reputational site to look at our rating. So now, one of the projects I handled then was to improve my own company reputational visibility on that. What I do, I download the report, I look at the risk that we have, I look at the project or the people that needs to help us, what you need to fix. I reach out to them. Hey, this particular thing is reported on our reputational side. If we get it fixed, we're going to move from C to B, from B to A. Now, as a result of this, guess what? Within 6 months, and as a result of what I did, uh, I moved the reputation of the company from C, you imagine what C means, right? To A plus, right? Because of those things. So that is one of those things. You could be hired as the internal vulnerability risk assessment to improve the reputation of the company you are working for, or you could be hired to be a reputational risk assessment for the vendors that will be working for your company. So this skill set is always needed, and it's one of the projects that when you highlight on your resume is going to go the long way. All right. So the fifth one, right, that I talked about that is very important and it is very essential. As a matter of fact, it's a different role entirely, right? Is what I call vulnerability management, and cloud governance. This is huge. Now, everything that we are doing, we are dealing with vulnerabilities, either physical infrastructure, either cloud based infrastructure. We are dealing with vulnerabilities. And ability to discover the vulnerabilities that you are faced with and identify that, remediate that, communicate the remediation plan, ensure that the vulnerability is removed. That is the goal of vulnerability uh, assessment specialist, right? So, vulnerability management is another big role in cybersecurity. And it is technical, right? But it is still not technical. The reason why it is technical is because we have to do what we call vulnerability scanning using different tools like Qualys or Nessus or all of these things. And this is automated tool that does the scanning for you. Now, your role, right, is that the report of this scanning, the scan report, you want to analyze that. You want to analyze that report. You want to prioritize the report. You want to prioritize the remediation of the report. And then you want to communicate the remediation plan. You want to drive the remediation plan of every identified vulnerability. This is huge. And it's a very important project that you also need to highlight on your resume. There are so many tools out there that we can use to perform our vulnerability management. So many of them. But working in this field, I've identified most common ones, even for both physical infrastructure and for cloud based infrastructure. So, vulnerability is not just only limited to the computer servers that is running on patch application. It also include the cloud-based infrastructure, let's say the Kubernetes clusters that have unpatched images, right? Is very huge. So, but you need to understand this, right? So, how do you actually make this one transition for something big for you? Can talk about you use this particular tool. Let's say I use Wiz and Aquasec to scan and remediate to reduce the identified vulnerability by 40%, therefore increasing the reputation of our organization from 35% to 65% within 6 months, right? You see what I'm saying? It's not just like mentioning this is what I did. I scan images, I scan this, I send report, and the hiring manager want to see that what you have done, it achieved results. You use a particular tool, and that tool led to this, and this consequently led to your company being in compliance, right? Okay, so that is very, very important for us to talk about. Now, I've talked about all these uh, projects, about five of them. Of course, we have more than that. You can even depict that even each of them could be broken down into different structure, right? But now, let me talk to you about my Proving Academy and what we have been doing the past 10 years that we have been helping our mentoring students, right? Now, I understand that there are so many people out there, they are busy professionals. You don't have time for to sit down and be watching video, or you feel like you need somebody to actually mentor you, and hold you. So we understand this, right? So because of that, we have one product that we have split it into two. Now, we have self-paced cybersecurity mentoring program, which is our recorded training, right? On our learning management platform, that when you purchase that course, you have access to the training, right? Video one, week two. It could take you maybe 2 days, 1 week to consume the content of that training, but it is available for you to run through. You can be watching the videos, right? And those details on your phone when you are in doctor's appointment, or you are at the park with the kids. Just take glue on your phone and you have access to the training, so you can train as you go. That's what we call self-paced training. Now, whether you purchase the self-paced training or you purchase the live online mentoring training. Now, the live online mentoring training is similar to what you are doing right now. Okay. So that when you purchase the live online mentoring training and we schedule the training session, right? And we say, okay, maybe every Monday and Thursdays, we come on a live Zoom session like this and we talk about this in detail. You ask question live, I answer you live, right? Mondays and Thursdays, right? We do that. That's the live online mentoring session, right? So depend. Some people, they don't have, maybe because of the time of their work or their schedule, their current schedule, they may not be able to have time for the live online mentoring training. So because of that, they prefer to purchase the self-paced training. Okay. Whichever way, you have access to the mentoring information, right? So one product divided into two. And of course, the price is completely different, right? For our self-paced training, it is ridiculously discounted. And for many people that have done your own research, your due diligence before now, our self-paced training, right, as of today that we are talking, it is 365 for 3 months, or you pay one price of 997, less than 1,000. So which means once you pay 1,000, you have access to the training, right? You are not paying anything again. Or I don't have 1,000 today, 997 today, but I have 365. Pay over 3 months, 365 first, second, and third month, right? But the moment you make the payment of 365, you still have access to the training, right? So whether you want to pay one time 997 or you want to pay in installment of 365, okay, let me try this thing out, right? Let me pay 365. At least 365 has nothing to do with me. It's less than my car note. Let me use this one to change my life. Let me confirm if this guy is real. You still have access to the training. 365. And if you scan this QR code, you will have access to how to go ahead and make the payment. All right. Or you want to believe that 1,000 is less than my mortgage, right? Why not? If I can afford a G Wagon, 1,000 is nothing to me. You pay 1,000, you have access to the training right here, right now. You start learning as early as today everything about cybersecurity, and you can consume the entire. It can take you 1 week, 2 weeks, 6 months. It doesn't matter. You have access to that, right? That is that. Okay. Now talking about our let me before I even talk about the next webinar. But if you feel like, you know what, I don't want to sit there and be watching video. I am the way I learn things. I want an instructor to tell me so that I can ask question live. I can, you know, be able to walk through things together. All right, that is the live online mentoring training. Also, if you scan this QR code, you have access to that information as well. Okay, So that is for the live online training, and this is for the self-paced training. All right. Now we do this we try to do this every 2 weeks, right? But the most important thing, right? Because like I said initially, for everyone that joined this at the beginning of the training, I did mention that I have so many information I want to share. I cannot put price on the information that I have, that I've gathered over 10 years, and mentoring, training people, and also working in the field. It's not something I can put together in 8 live session, but we can disintegrate that. But I've come up with a method, right? I've come up with a very great idea, and that is the gift that I'm giving to everyone here today, right? I've developed a community, okay? A community whereby you join this community for free. Whether you purchase today or you do not purchase today, my gift for you, because you joined this webinar today, right? You will have free access to this community, and you will get that information maybe by Monday, right? Once you join this community, all this webinar that we are doing and many more that we're going to be doing will be posted on that community. You can ask live question on that webinar, on that community. Oh, I'm struggling with my resume. Okay, I need guidance with my resume. If you're a paid student, of course, we're going to respond to you. But if you're, I mean, no rush, anyways. But the most important thing is that you have access to communicating with me and with my team, or you have an interview coming up, right? And you're trying to have a guidance on what else you need to do, right, to get to what you want to do, or what would this resume look like, or what would this interview look like. This mentoring thing becomes easy for me, right, when we do a community. So that's why I set up a community, and this community will be launched very soon, and everyone in attendance will be on that community. And make sure, if you get that link either now or on Monday, you click and you join immediately, right? And information will be shared. You can comment. You know what I call community, like Facebook chat and things like that. Send a post and things like that. It's either I respond to you directly, or one of my team will respond to you. But either way, you get answers to your question. I can manage my students on that platform very well. After today's webinar, access to the community is going to be paid for. But for everyone that purchased the training with us, right, they have access. It's part of the package that they pay for to that community. Now, again, that is very, very important. So now our next webinar is coming soon, right? But before we talk about that, our live online mentoring training will be starting October 20, right? It's going to be starting October 20. It's going to be for 4 weeks, October 20 to November 13, every Monday and every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, we're going to come live on Zoom for 8 consecutive sessions. We'll walk through some of these things. You know, amazing thing about live mentoring session, if you enroll for this live mentoring training, amazing thing about this is that you have access to self-paced training as well. So it's like you are getting two things in one for the live mentoring training. Okay, if you pay for this, you also get the self-paced training. So despite the fact that we're going to be starting October 20, right, you will have access to the self-paced training from today or from the time before that October 20 to review the materials, to go through the training, to go through all of those things. So during the live mentoring section, we're not going to spend so much time, to go through what you already gone through on the self-paced training, so we can delve more into practical things, right, that will enhance your distance. So what I'm trying to tell you is that between today, October 4th, right, and November 13, let's put it that way, it's possible for you to transition into cybersecurity training, right, or cybersecurity career when you enroll in a live online mentoring training. That is very possible. And remember, please remember this. I need to emphasize this. What will get you to the finish line is not uh, the money that you paid. It is what you are doing with the information that you are receiving. I need to make that clear. Don't say you purchase the training and you're not doing anything about that. And people ask wrong question. Okay, how many, for those, tell me your success rate. For everyone that have gone through your training, how long does it take them to get the job? I don't know. Some people, for me, it took me 12 weeks from the time I got the information. And guess what I was doing before I got the job? Every day I was submitting over 30 resumes. I was refining everything. I was going through material. If you put in the work, don't just pay for the training and go to sleep and say because you pay, the instructor will do the work for you. If you have access to the information that you need to get the job, you need to utilize that, and you need to work with that and come with the right mindset. I guarantee you, I will hold you by the hand, and then we'll run through this journey. We'll walk through this journey together. Okay, that is very, very important. I need to emphasize that as well. I know some questions are coming in into this thing. Okay, yeah, talking about the hidden job market. There are so many hidden job market out there. I mean, this is part of those things that I told you that I cannot talk about everything, right? In one session. Okay, that's very, very important. So now again, like I said, we have the live online mentoring training, right? It is 1,997. I didn't mention the price, but if you scan this QR code, it's going to give you the information. An amazing thing also about the live online mentoring training is that you don't have to pay at once. I think it's 697, right? If you pay 697 over 3 months, 697 times three, you have access. So today, if you want to join the live online training, you can pay 697. You have access to the self-paced training, and October 20, you'll get the information, the Zoom link to join the live online mentoring session. And for 8 consecutive sections and like 16 hours in a live session, you have access. Now, the bonus is you are getting access to the community for a continuous support. You are also getting access to the information that will get you into the job market from now on. So I don't know if you have any question. If you have any question, let me know. uh I will be more than happy. It's either you send it as a chat or you want to also ask verbally. I believe you can unmute yourself and ask the question. So while you're talking about that, feel free also to follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, right? The name is Oluka Oshilaja on Instagram. I didn't have the time to put together the QR code for most of my social media platform, but you can search for me on Instagram, you can search for me on TikTok, and you can also maybe by Monday you will be getting the link to this webinar. You're also going to be getting the bonus about the community that you're going to be joining, and also every other vital information that you need to progress into cybersecurity. So thank you so very much again. If